The moment my sister raised her champagne glass and laughed, calling me another man's mistake in front of everyone at my own birthday, the room went silent, and that silence would end up destroying everything she thought she knew. Marcus Reed had learned a long time ago that silence could be louder than shouting. I was turning 38 that night, standing in my parents' suburban Ohio dining room, the same room where framed family photos showed generations of pale faces smiling back at me. My skin had always been the outlier, a deep brown that didn't match my mother's soft beige or my father's ruddy pink. Usually, we pretended not to notice. That night, my sister Elaine decided to notice for everyone. Elaine was 2 years older than me and had perfected the art of cruelty dressed up as humor. She clinked her glass again, her diamond bracelet catching the light. "Well," she said, smirking, "I guess we should all toast Marcus. Proof that Mom had a life before Dad, or at least a mistake she never owned up to." A few people laughed nervously. My mother's face drained of color. My father stared at the table like it had suddenly betrayed him. I felt something cold move through my chest, not shock exactly, but a familiar ache sharpening into resolve. I forced a smile. "Happy birthday to me," I said quietly. Elaine leaned closer. "Don't be so sensitive. It's not my fault you don't look like the rest of us." I'd heard variations of that my whole life. At school, from relatives, even from strangers who felt entitled to ask where I was really from. But hearing it weaponized like that in my parents' home felt different, deliberate, final. After cake, people made excuses and left early. My mother hugged me too tightly, whispering, "She didn't mean it." My father avoided my eyes. Elaine left last, brushing past me with a satisfied look, like she'd finally said the thing she'd been rehearsing for years. That night, I sat in my apartment with the lights off, the city humming outside, and replayed the scene until my hands stopped shaking. I thought about all the times I'd tried to prove I belonged. Honor roll, college scholarships, a steady career in logistics. None of it had ever been enough to quiet the unspoken question. So I decided to answer it. 2 days later, I ordered a DNA test, not the cheap kind, the kind with legal grade verification. I didn't tell anyone. I let Elaine keep believing she'd won something. While I waited, memories surfaced. My mother crying when I asked why my hair was different. My father insisting biology didn't matter, but never quite touching me the same way after arguments. Elaine watching it all, storing resentment like ammunition. The results arrived 3 weeks later in a thick envelope. I sat at my kitchen table, heart pounding, and opened it. The truth was clean and brutal. I was my father's biological son, 100%, but Elaine wasn't. I laughed then, a slow, disbelieving laugh that turned into something close to joy. Not because she wasn't my father's, because of what it meant. Her cruelty, her certainty, her public humiliation of me, it all rested on a lie she never questioned. I didn't confront her right away. Revenge, I'd learned, aged best when served cold. I asked my parents to dinner the following Sunday, just us. I laid the envelope on the table like a centerpiece. My mother's hands trembled as she read. My father's face collapsed inward, years of unspoken doubts crashing down at once. He looked at me, eyes wet. "You're my son," he said, voice breaking. "I know," I replied. "I always knew. Did you know about Elaine?" My mother sobbed. She confessed to an affair decades ago, a brief, lonely mistake she'd buried under years of guilt. Elaine had never known. She'd spent her life tearing me down to protect a truth that wasn't even hers. I didn't confront her at that dinner. I made plans for the next. Elaine hosted a July 4th barbecue every year, a big neighborhood affair. I offered to help. She was suspicious, but her ego won. On the afternoon of the party, with friends, family, and half the block gathered, she tapped her glass for attention. "Before we eat," she said, "Marcus has something to say."
I took the microphone she handed me, feeling the weight of every eye. "Actually," I said, "I do." I told them about my birthday, about the joke, about the test. I held up the papers, my voice steady. "Turns out I'm exactly who I was always told I wasn't, and Elaine isn't." The silence came back, thicker this time. Elaine's smile froze, then shattered. "That's not true," she whispered. My father stepped forward. "It is." Elaine's world cracked open in real time. Neighbors stared, friends backed away. The story she'd built herself on dissolved under the sun.
She'd built herself undissolved under the sun. I didn't gloat. I didn't yell. I just handed her the truth and let it do the work. I left early, fireworks starting behind me, and felt lighter than I ever had. Not because I'd hurt her, but because I'd finally stopped letting her define me. Family, I learned, isn't about who gets to judge your reflection. It's about who survives the truth when the mirror finally turns.